Hey everybody, welcome back to TomGirl. This is episode 38, and I'm here with Andromeda Dunker. She is a voiceover superstar and the narrator of House Hunters. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
All right, hey, we're back. We're TomGirl. I'm your host, JJ Jurgens. You can follow me at JJ Jurgens. And I have Andromeda here in the studio tonight.
Hello!
Andromeda, where can everybody follow you at?
At Andromeda Voice on Instagram.
All right. Okay, well, some people may not know your face, and now they're seeing it tonight, but they definitely have heard your voice everywhere.
I don't know.
All over
Around.
HGTV. Yeah.
The doctor's office, the lobbies, lobbies around the country.
Everywhere. Well, let's go back to the early days. So how did you get into voiceover or find this love?
I didn't know that there was a career such as voiceover, but I was doing on-camera acting and theater and anything that I could do to make a buck acting. And I've always been a talker. When I was a little kid, I was speaking full sentences before I was walking, and everyone was always like, shut up, shut up. My teacher, every single report card I ever had talks excessively in class. Like, it was a bad thing that I was supposed to tamp down. And later when I started acting, I was at an audition, and the casting director heard me in a mic, and she was like, oh, you should do voiceover. And I had never heard my voice in a mic. It sounds pretty nasally and annoying in my head. And she said, tell your agent you're going to do voiceover. And so I did. I said, she told me that I should do voiceover. So my agent started sending me out for voiceover gigs, and I booked them. So I guess that casting director was right.
Yeah. Do you remember the first job you booked? Putting you on the spot with that one.
Cole Haan Shoes or Nordstrom.
Actually, a good one right away.
You know what? It's funny. I just got the producer, one of the producers who did my first Nordstrom campaign. She sent me a spot, and I was a cool hunter. So I went from cool hunting to house hunting. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, I was this kid that was going out to the clubs and stuff and spotting fashion in voiceover. And like, hey, oh, look at those cool shoes, and just being super cool and hunting.
It's your destination.
Nordstrom's. Yeah.
Now, do you still, so you kind of don't do the on-camera stuff as much anymore?
No, voiceover has kind of taken over. When I moved to LA, I stayed in Seattle for 7 years and built up a resume until I was kind of shoved out the door, like, we don't have anything for you here, you need to go. So I came down, and I just decided to target voiceover only. And I called the biggest agency. We were there at ICM every day. Like, the only thing I did when I first moved down here is I would call I had a number from someone, and I called every day, and I couldn't get through. And the assistant was like, yeah, sure, we send a demo. You know, I had already sent the demo, but no one would pick up. Yeah. And I thought I would start with voiceover and kind of make my way, because I really liked that it wasn't dependent on how I looked or what I was wearing or my age, even gender, pretty kind of. And eventually I got through, because I had to get a producer that I'd worked with in Seattle to call the agency for me. And the rest was history.
That's a great lesson in persistence, though. You didn't just say, oh, what, you know.
It was the only thing I've ever done where I persisted. But I was like, I got to do this. And I want to start at the biggest agency so that I don't have to work my way up. I'd rather, like, okay, if this isn't working, I'll widen my search. But I kind of was razor focused on that.
Talk about the volume of auditions. Like, how many auditions maybe do you get to per day, per week?
I mean, it varies, as you know, on the time of year and stuff. It can be from 20 auditions to 5 to 3. I mean, it really depends. You just have to keep doing them.
What are there any that really stuck out in your mind as maybe the most fun or different or unique ones for you?
Well, the first audition that I ever read for was Marshall's when I moved to LA, and it was my first read, at ICM in LA, and I got that. So that was like a sign. It was
Yeah.
very, very strange. So I always remember that. And then, of course, House Hunters, I almost did an audition for it. I was in Portland, Oregon, visiting some family friends, and we were driving around my old college, and my agent called and said, "Can you get me this in 15 minutes?" And I said, "I'm about 20 minutes away from home." I had my mobile recording stuff, and she's like, "Just forget it. You know, it's just let it go. Have a good vacation." But I sped home. I like put my goddaughter's Hello Kitty blanket over my head, like put stuff together really quickly and read for it, and it became, I mean, now going on 10 years at this job.
Can you imagine now, like if you hadn't just?
Oh my God!
I mean,
No,
you wouldn't know, right?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the whole thing. I think that's what's hard for VO people too, because sometimes you do want to just go on vacation, be able to like let go for a second, but then there's that always nagging thought that could be, and even if it's just a small thing, it could be some producer that you meet that, you know, it could grow into more work. So it's hard to say no, right?
It makes the difference. I think it makes a difference. I think success is due to, of course, talent and luck, but also a big thing for me, I think, was being available. I was committed to being available for everything because, I mean, in my first jobs, like before voiceover, I booked a few jobs commercially on camera because the person didn't show up and they were calling someone last minute, and I was available. I hadn't checked out or, you know, so being available, it does make a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
So can you tell them about what do you travel with? For your gear.
I travel with a small, it's my spy mic. Oh, I wish I had it to show you. It's a little Octava MK 20 or 30 or something like that. It's a little Russian mic, and it's about the size of a big lipstick or something. And I screw it together, and I have a little mic stand, and everything's mini. It's my little kit is like this big, and I have a little preamp that's about this size, and Mic Port Pro, and my computer. I still don't have an interface to record on my phone, but it has that. That Octava has just as good of a sound as a Neumann. I've done it. I've tested it back to back with engineers. And
really?
Yeah, and
So
it's cheap. It's, you know.
So you'll do jobs from that too, not just auditions? Or
I do auditions. I think I've done a couple jobs, but usually we find me a studio where people are comfortable. I mean, I'm still not an expert at like making the pillow fort in the hotel. I don't know how some people do it systematically. I haven't mastered that. You know, I'd rather.
You just do the blanket?
Blanket, pillows. I just did. Over Christmas, I had a job, and I was in Hawaii, and our flight was so delayed we couldn't come back. I was trapped in Hawaii, so I did have to do a couple jobs. But luckily, a sound engineer that I work with daily on House Hunters, he was there too.
Oh, wow.
So he helped me set it up, and he was like in there, and we're like under an ironing board and pillows. Oh,
that's great.
It was crazy.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to House Hunters for a little bit. So it started out as just the first show, and now you do a ton of shows from the. Can you talk about how it evolved?
House Hunters and House Hunters International, which I did for about a year, and then they started. The show was blowing up, so they started doing all these different spin-offs, and luckily they had me voice all of them. But there, there's what
I think I had
you have them renovation.
There was Tiny House Hunters, House Hunters Renovation, House Hunters Off the Grid, House Hunters Where Are They Now?
There's a House Hunters Asia that we can't see here, that's broadcast in Asia. There's a new one, House Hunters Family. Just so many. There was a House Hunter, Castle Hunters, but I don't think they have enough castles around the world.
I've only seen one castle in
Yeah.
person in Switzerland. It was beautiful, but
Yeah, not so many up for sale.
yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between doing voiceover for narration, like the show, and then other commercial work or projects that you work
So
on?
different. Before I was narrating a lot with House Hunters, I was mostly in commercial and promo range, and it's so different with commercial. Well, first of all, the job itself, with commercial you could be doing 5 words, saying 5 words, and you could be there for an hour, and the producer's working you like, will you emphasize this word or that word, you know, like, and you're working hard, and you get a little crazy because you're working these 5 words over and over and over.
Sometimes I feel like the less words, the longer the session. Like
sometimes I don't know what, you know, sometimes you'll get that producer that is just like, perfect, go, you know. And the read is very much more pulled back and subtle, I think, with commercial. Like, you don't want to, you know, knock people over the head with like, hey, buy this. You'd be like, cool, you can take this or leave it, but here I am talking about it, you know. And unless it's an infomercial and promo is like over the top, crazy, excited about stuff. And then narration is kind of has its just, it's kind of a constant lilting like throughout, and it has to be very smooth. Although I try to like break it up so it doesn't sound sing-songy. I with my narration, I like it to sound like I'm really saying these things. I mean, with all voiceover for that matter.
What are some of the tricks you use to do that? Like, I mean, some people put photos in their booth of, you know, family, or they'll like talk themselves into stuff, or have somebody they're talking to. Are there any tools of the, you know, tricks?
What a great idea. I wish I had pictures of all these people. I probably would get distracted and not say anything. You know, I really just try to, can we swear on this?
You can.
Oh,
Let it fly.
So my only, it was kind of a joke, but my only tip for a long time has been like, mean the fuck out of it. Seriously, I mean, because voiceover is so much more than just the voice. I mean, so much more. It's not about the voice. We know lots of really successful voiceover people whose voices you would hear, and they're not spectacular or booming or particular. It's about believing in whatever it is the message you're trying to say, and getting the style, whether it's narration or promo or commercial, and really believing it yourself and saying it as a real person in that style would be, and using the voice as a vehicle for that message. And so I say mean the fuck out of it.
I love that one. I'm gonna use that one. It kind of sums it all up so perfectly, though. Yeah.
We could do subcategories and stuff. But that's the school of Andromeda's voiceover.
I like it. Let's talk a little bit about. Well, I guess we're gonna talk. I was gonna say mic technique, but let's save that till we show pictures of kind of your studio and stuff. Can you talk about, kind of go segue that way into how much you have a home studio, and then you also go into the studio for work?
Right.
So how does that balance?
I do, for House Hunters specifically, I do I do the domestic shows at home. I mean, the international shows at home from my home studio, because the production company is in New York. So I do it via ISDN, and I hear that I have a studio here that I connect through ISDN, and then the producer in New York is on a cell phone and directing me. And no picture, just recording, do that. And then in the afternoons, I go to Pytown Productions, who were the originators of, the creators of House Hunters, and do the domestic there. And it's a total different setup. I have a whisper booth, and there's the engineer and the producer, and they're laying it down to picture. Everything is done, and I just come in, and so I'm there while they're editing it in, and I'm watching the show. So
you a little bit about both. Yeah, both ways.
Yeah.
When you don't have the picture and stuff like that, are you creating any of that stuff?
Yeah, I am, and it's really about reading, and it sounds so stupid maybe, but it's about reading the words and understanding the story behind it in a split second, because you don't get them ahead of time, and understanding what's going on. Or if there's a question, I'll ask the producer, or maybe she'll tell me, you know, if something funny is going on, they're playing a game off on camera or something. But most of the time I'm just inferring from, hoping it's well written, and I'm like taking that in and telling the story. And trying to imagine these people. And then what people want to hear and engage them in, and get them involved. Yeah. So you were telling me that you're not a design person, but that you recently, they were going to come in. They did.
Tell me about this.
HGTV came, they're doing some different digital content, interviewing people, all the different hosts of the shows, and I kind of freaked out. I'm like, my house is a mess. I am not a designer. All the other hosts are on camera and they are contractors or designers
Right.
or, I'm just this voice actor. Like, my house could literally be a cave with, so it was good. It got us to like clean up. I have a really dear friend who's a designer. She helped me a lot. But I had to like, I was like, oh my God. I saw this one, video that they showed me as a sample of this woman, and she's a custom designer contractor, and her home is this huge beach house that's enormous, and it's literally her showcase, her model home for her to bring clients and tour them. And so my house is a lot more cluttered with more personality, should we say. It did have more personality because it's not a model home. But I freaked out when I watched it. I was like, I'm going to get rid of everything on the counters. And they assured me, they're like, no. We want to see your house as an actor. And so
We have a couple pictures of the home studio.
Oh, yay.
Should be photo 3 up there. Yeah.
There it is.
So is this part of the redesign?
Yes, this is definitely. It was before this. It was my friend Jamie B came in and we redid everything. Before that, I had red panels, and I never really decorated it. It was a place that I would just crawl off to. I had my mic, I had the same equipment, and it was functional.
Yeah.
But there were piles of books around, stuff that I hadn't. It was like a closet that I went to work, and then as soon as I was done with the session, I would like run off and go into my cozy parts of the house.
Yeah.
But this, now when I'm done, I want to stay there.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah,
So
it's
for
great.
people out there who might be wanting to design their own studios at their place, can you talk about some of like the panel work or some of the acoustics steps you had to do to make this?
The panels are actually really easy. There's this great place called LA Sound Panels here in the Valley, and they make them and they're really affordable, and I feel like more affordable than making them on your own. They're stuffed with stuff. They're eco-friendly. They're covered with fabric. It's all done.
Perfect.
And yeah, so that was easy. The mic, I have a Sennheiser. I'm looking to see what do I have in there. A Sennheiser 416. I've had that for forever. And I have my ISDN box and the computer for recording MP3s.
Do you use Pro Tools or what software do you use?
I don't use Pro Tools. For a long time, I was using this software called Amadeus Pro. It's something I bought for $30 back when I was in Seattle because my agent at the time was using it. No one really has heard of it or uses it. It's so simple. It's just like a cut and paste. And now, recently, I've started using Audacity, which is free. I tried Pro Tools. It's such overkill for just voiceover. I mean, we just need to record our voices and be able to cut and paste. That's all I can fit into my little brain. So Pro Tools is way too many things. And then I needed to upgrade. It was never compatible with the computer version I had. So yeah, I'm happy with the Amadeus and Audacity.
And those are the same you use on your travel kit for software too? Okay. There was one other question about the studio I was going to ask, and now I just forgot it, but it'll come back to me. All right, let's talk for more VO people out there. Maybe some of the tips for people who want to get involved in it. Were there any classes that you liked or studying?
I never didn't take classes because I was already working doing voiceover. So I don't really know. I think that it's very valuable to take classes, especially if you haven't done acting or performing or voiceover of any kind. Like I was saying, it's not about how pretty your voice is. It's about learning to convey and mean the fuck out of everything that you say. And if you can't do that, learn how to do that. Either get a reputable coach, do some research in your area, and don't spend a lot of money on demos. What I hear people doing is, I have this great voice and I do a bunch of funny voices, and there are a lot of people who will take your money to make a demo for you with all these different voices, and you don't need that. It's expensive. And agents, I've found, don't even want that. They want to hear you recorded. But most people, and you probably will confirm this, most people don't have just like all these, I do all these different crazy voices. You get in kind of your niche of like, for me, it's I'm this real person that is talking to you as myself, basically. And that's where I've had the most success. I've had a few things where I've done different accents and stuff, but by and large, it's different variations of me, you know?
I definitely, I agree with you on that one, because I think when I first started too, I did fall into the like, because I wanted to be in animation, you know, so I would try to do all that
Everyone,
too.
yeah.
Right, yeah, everybody does. That's what we're all, but it all has been just using your voice. So I think too, it's like getting to know yourself too, like what are the different aspects of you? Like it's like, is there an athletic side to you, a mom side, a pet parent side,
Right.
you know, knowing those aspects of your personality and developing those. I
And
think
people
then you
will
bring
tell
that.
you, like an agent will tell you, for people who are already in acting and performing, ask around to people, your friends who do have voiceover, I would say, and just see if you can get an agent or someone or a casting director in voiceover to listen to you, just record it on your iPhone or something, no expensive demo, and they will tell you right away, like, you're awesome, just come in right now, or maybe you should work on this, go to this coach or something, you know, like ask around before dumping a bunch of money on something that's not gonna, it's so competitive. That demo is not gonna be the way.
Yeah. Are there any like changes or trends that you see in voiceover? 15? You're like,
It's so
oh,
hard.
no.
It's so hard. It's harder.
Yeah.
It's harder. I mean, it used to be, I think when I was first starting, there was that whole very typical announcer that we grew up with the very like polished, beautiful announcer voice. And when I first started, I think that it was the trend. It was just starting to go away from that, and that's what I was. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just this 20-year-old, you know, just talking out of my ass, and that kind of caught on, and that was all for a long time, and still. But now it's all confusing. It's like, everything says non-announcer, right? But they want you to act like you can't read at all. I don't think so, because you got to be able to read. Learn to read. Learn to read.
So when you get specs like that and you're submitting an audition, what is your philosophy? Like, how many takes do you send, and what do you give them?
I'm very confused about this direction myself, I have to admit. Look, I just try to take it back. It's especially hard after I've done 5 hours of House Hunters. And then I come home, because I'm in that zone, which is the different, like the wave, riding the wave, to just get back and be like, hey, I'm this person. I tried this thing. JJ, you should check it out, you know, and to get back to being the real myself. So you gotta shake that off.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know, some people say don't listen to yourself, and then some people say, oh, you absolutely have to listen to yourself. I'm thinking for that kind of read, maybe it's good to not listen to yourself, because people who get caught up in the way their voice is sounding, it's not about manipulating the way your voice is sounding to book that kind of stuff, that non-announcery stuff.
Yeah. So if you're not sure about the direction, do you then send like one take that's like what you think they want, and then one thing that's maybe your strength, and then, or like, how do you handle that?
I do, and I'm guilty of sometimes sending like 3 or too many, and then I'll be to my agent, could you pick for me? I don't know. But I try. I just did some promos this morning that I auditioned for yesterday, and I made a quick choice. It was in sports, which is not my usual, and I knew it had to be like really amped up, so almost like the infomercials I've done, but in a deeper register for sports. And I just kind of went with, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do one down here, like I'm like a tomboy, you know?
Yeah.
And then I did one more kind of up in my normal register, but super excited, like we're at the bar together watching this game. And I sent both of those, and it worked. I don't, so sometimes it comes down to making a quick choice when you have.
So did you book that one?
Yeah.
So which one did they say? Which one they are?
I didn't
probably
know.
don't know.
I
Yeah.
know. And someone was asking me which one did they like, and I was like, I didn't ask. It was so quick, you know.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
The session was so quick, and but one thing that I did realize it was so much like doing infomercial, the like sports promo,
Yeah.
because it's just like, I could not be more excited.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a weird parallel too, like selling face cream and baseball.
They're very similar.
Very similar.
I know what you're saying, though. All right, well, something that people don't talk about very much, but you brought up this topic, and I love it. So since we talk fashion here a little at TomGirl, too, she's going to talk VO fashion for us,
Yes,
guys.
I'm sure this is what most people want to hear. I was just joking around. I was saying that if you want to do voiceover, you know, say goodbye to earrings. Like, we can't wear earrings. I don't wear earrings. I don't really wear jewelry, things that clang around, because they get in the way. And you hit the mic stand, or you know, with clanging jewelry. I mean, that said, I know a lot of voiceover people that wear lots of jewelry. They manage it, but I just can't be bothered, because you know, if you're clinking around. And earrings. I've lost earrings because I get to the studio and I pull them out because it's just not comfortable. And I have, I've actually been searching online I want earrings that are comfortable to wear under headphones. So if anyone, because you can't Google, if you Google that, earrings comfortable with headphones, you get other stuff. Like, you get headphones that look like earrings or things like that. Like, it's a niche that we need, that people who have
This is your design. Now you'll be a jewelry designing after this.
Because I want to wear earrings. And then another...
because the back would have to be soft, too, because that's what pinches it.
No, you can't wear studs. Those hoops are probably pressing against...
Yeah. These ones aren't actually too bad for some reason. But
I have some... You know, it saved me a fortune in my earring budget. And then another thing I was thinking about when I got my home studio, my first one, not the one we saw, was basically a tiny whisper booth size booth in my house. And, you know, it's nice to work from home and stuff, and you can be in your pajamas, and you totally can. But I was in there. It was so hot and sweaty. It was like in the upstairs, and I'm like wearing just my underwear and shirt and doing the session, and I scratched my leg, and then I'm like, I could hear it in the mic. I was like, oh, you know, maybe wear pants. Like, first thing I thought, I was like, oh, I hope he didn't hear that. I hope he didn't think I was scratching my butt. But maybe I was scratching my butt. I don't know. Like, so I wear a full three-piece suit, straight jacket. No, but you know, you don't want to be. There's a little too comfortable.
Yeah.
Plus, if you're in your pajamas, can you get that energy?
Yeah. Well, and it throws you to, like, when you said you hear something like that, then it's in your brain. I was telling you, I wore a button-down shirt one time. I can't remember why I was in one, but it was like, it was stiff, you know. And all I could like hear is the little. And I was like, so I'm like, never again. It's like, it's always
We gotta wear soft things, soft
no heels,
and silent.
flats.
Ninjas.
Yes.
We should shop at the ninja department store.
Yeah. No, you started to say that, like, when like, so if you had a sports, if you knew, like, you're at home and you're reading something, and say if you had a sports reader, you had a different kind, would you dress differently to get you in that character?
Oh, I would like to say yes, but I don't think so.
No.
I mean, no. No. But I don't wear shoes. We were talking about you don't wear shoes. Just anything that makes noise. And I think you should be comfortable, but not so, like, undressed. I feel like, you know, because you're talking to people and it affects you. You feel like, I don't know, but probably people do it naked, but I feel like you
had that sexy read you have to do.
It's a layer of protection.
Yeah. I love it. I thought it was great. Anything else on the VO fashions?
Oh, man. I think
They covered it.
no earrings, wear pants.
Good. All right. Okay, well, another topic, because I know we have a few minutes left here. Sometimes we talk about adventure here, and I had pulled a couple shots from you. You had talked about how you got stranded in Hawaii a little.
Stranded in paradise.
So it was in Kauai?
Yeah.
So I have the pictures of that. So
Nice.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
the little beach. I actually went there. It is related to VO because the engineer, Steve, that I work with on House Hunters International through ISDN here, he and his wife have a condo there at this place, and he turned me on to this place in Kauai, and I had the security of having my engineer there with me.
Fantastic.
So it was cool. I was like, to my agent, I was like, I can record anytime. I've got and I didn't think I was going to have to, but then our plane got delayed, and I was there. It was either go at some crazy, I had a session here at noon, and if I went on the plane that we were supposed to go on, I would have missed it. So in the middle of the night, we did some rearranging, and I got a hotel, and I stayed for four more days and did 2 sessions from the hotel rooms. I wish I had those photos. It's so funny because I'm under the blanket, and you can see the engineer, and he's standing I was crouched under the bed, or by the bed, and you can see the engineer, and he's got his computer there, and he's monitoring it, and he's looking down, but it looks like he's looking at some people in a pile under some covers in the bed, it's some porn shoot or something. It's hilarious.
So he was nice enough too to stay the extra 4 days too.
Yeah, well, he was there. He was staying there anyway.
Oh, okay.
But that's the paradise. It's great.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, and then you said you lived in France for a while?
I did. I mean, that going to all these things that led up to me doing voiceover before I knew that voiceover was a thing. I studied languages when I was a kid. I studied linguistics in college. I grew up speaking Mandarin, Chinese, and English because my mom's Chinese. And once you are bilingual, you kind of get it that there are different ways of communicating different things, and different modes in different languages. And so I was really hooked. And then when I was 11, my dad and the family, we moved to France, to Grenoble, France, for a sabbatical. My dad's a scientist, and for 6 months. And I learned French.
Wow.
And fluently when I was 11. And so when I came home, I didn't want to lose my French, and so I took intensive French at the university. So I built up all these college credits. I mean, I already spoke it, so it was easy, but I had all these college credits. And then I went and I traveled in a performing troupe to the Soviet Union, and I wanted to learn Russian. And so I took intensive Russian at the University of Washington. So I built up all these college credits in language.
Amazing.
It's kind of cheating, but it's it reinforced. So switching all these languages was all part of it. It was all part of, now I can use that. And when I use it in House Hunters because I can pronounce the names of the cities. The names of the people for international, I can mimic if it has a Slavic sound or.
It's great.
So.
Do you ever get any reads in any other languages?
Yes, in French. I'm very fluent in French, so I've done some work in French. There's not a lot here, but yeah, I do. I try.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous. It'd be so great
Mostly
to be all
English,
those things.
though.
Yeah. And then, what was your favorite part about France?
Favorite part.
Or anything you remember that you loved, if there was some sort of food
it
or
was definitely
place.
life-changing. It's still I have a whole other family there, because then when I was a teenager, I moved back there, and I lived there for 3 years, and I go back whenever I can. So just the whole culture, it's my second home. The whole living in a different culture makes you realize that there are different ways of looking at things. And when I was there, people were kind of, they would be trashing America, and I could hear them, I could understand them, and then I would say, because they didn't know I was French, and then I would say, I'm American. They're like, oh my God, you must be so happy to be here. I'm like, actually, I now appreciate my home, because I've realized that people are the same. There are assholes, and there are nice people everywhere. There's stupid people. There's you find your people, and so that was good, because when I moved over there, I was very anti-patriotic, anti-American. I'm like, I'm going to Europe. I'm going to be cultured, and realizing that there was the same uncultured stuff going on even in France,
Awesome. Well, it's been so amazing talking to you and hearing this. Before we wrap up with you today, I want to introduce you guys real quick to a new segment we're doing here on the show. So it's kind of an addition to the show, but it's called TomGirl Tour Stop. So when different bands or artists come to town, we're trying to meet up with them in LA or anywhere close to here that I can drive to and interview them on their site. So here was one I just did last week with Jordan Davis. Let's just show you a little bit of it. This was his new music out, and his album is just out this week. He was on the Today Show this morning. Amazing album, country singer, originally from Louisiana and now living in Nashville. But we're just trying to go out, little cut here for a second, where we were actually at the Troubadour with him and got to talk to him about what it's been like on tour and what he's looking forward to with the album being released and kind of his path and his career too. So tweet me and let me know if there's anybody you guys would like to see on the TomGirl Tour Stop, and then I'll try to find out if they're anywhere close, and we'll try to get a new segment out here for you guys. So you have, in addition to the show, during the midweek or other times, you can go and watch these on YouTube. They're on the TomGirl YouTube channel. All right. It was fun. Yeah. All right. So before we wrap with you today, any last minute thoughts on voiceover, or any last advice for people out there wanting to follow in your footsteps, or maybe
I have one. Get used to a life of uncertainty. You can't. I'm actually uncomfortable with a set schedule now because I've been doing this for so long. Every day is different. I didn't know what I was going to be working on today. So,
how did you get through, maybe before you had the steady work that you have now too, like through those times where it was like up, downs, not knowing?
It's scary. It's depressing. I mean, fortunately, I have had work, but there have been years where, I had a health scare, and then my income dropped to almost nothing, and I had to live off savings. It's always can happen. It can always happen. So you have to get yourself used to that, I guess.
Any other things along the way that, like, now if you could look back and tell young Andromeda voiceover girl, like, things to, like, not worry about, or, or things to, dive into more, or I know these are tricky,
so much pressure. I mean, I thought of something today and then I forgot it. Maybe that's it. Maybe you just set it and forget it. Like when you're auditioning, that's one thing. Don't think about it. You got to do 100 more maybe to get one spot. I mean, that's the odds now are just so crazy. Yeah. So yeah, I do. People ask me, what'd you audition for? I don't know. After I'm done, I'm done. I'm out the door.
I'm glad you said the odds, because that's something I was going to ask you about too. Because I think they used to say like 70. Yeah, like I think when I first started, it was like 1 in 70, and I was like, okay. And then now they say like 1 in 100, and yeah.
I think it is worse like that. It definitely is for me, but I'm doing a lot of narration, so I'm in that zone, But yeah, that's what makes it crazy. I heard you were saying you booked the first job that you did with our same
too.
agent.
I did. It was, and like I had been with a different agency. I loved them to death too, and I hadn't booked anything for the 2 years. I was green. I just started with them.
It's just meant to be.
Well, but it's funny because this is what I would say too. Is like I was starting to self doubt. Like, gosh, maybe I suck at this. Maybe I don't belong in this. And then then went to ICM and with Dean, and literally the first, it was Millstone Coffee. I'll never forget it.
It must have been Dean.
I was like, what? I booked
Marshall's, Millstone,
right?
ICM.
Yeah. High fives.
Yeah. But it doesn't work like that usually. I mean, that was...
Yeah. But it's why you can't get too cut. And it's like, and I've been replaced on things. I don't know if you've been replaced on things before, but that hurts, but you gotta...
It's not personal. I was actually... Do we have time? I was... Sure. On a job one time with a guy. This was back in Seattle, but it was for some commercial. It was a major company. And we worked together, and then they let him go. And then after he left, they said, Andromeda, we really love what you're doing. We can't work with that. And so we're going to bring in someone. And they had one of the producers read in his place, and I re-recorded the same thing. And I mean, I guess he still got paid for the session, but he would find out later. And that happens. I think that happened I was on the other end too. And when you're on that end, you don't know about it until you hear it. And it's like, wait, I did that job, and it's another person doing it. It's a man or it's another woman.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was hard. I felt so bad when I was seeing it, because when you leave, you don't know what they're saying.
Right. But you witnessed all what they were saying.
It's kind of good that they spare you that.
Oh, yeah.
Just wait till it comes. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes like I see it at the other side too when I work at my day job where I'm on the other side, and I see sometimes the reasons people get replaced has nothing to do with them, you know, or it's somebody else just has they like something else. So yeah, you can't ever take it personal. You're driving yourself crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think we're just about out of time, so I just want to thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us. I love you so much.
So good to see you. I love you.
Tell everybody again where they can follow you on social media.
On Instagram at Andromeda Voice.
And listen for her voice everywhere, and of course you can hear her on
Everywhere.
Yes.
I'll be everywhere.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you here again next week. Have a good week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.